Hey, welcome to CryptoCoach365, day 84. So you've probably noticed this is supposed to be a crypto coaching thing, but I don't just talk about crypto, and sometimes I don't really talk much about crypto at all. The reason is that it's really hard to sometimes find topics on crypto to talk to. I mean, in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, there is something happening almost every day, but not every day. And a lot of times when something happens, it's kind of the same old, like some other politician or some other economist or some other guy makes some sort of a comment about something they don't understand, or another business joins in or drops out or does something. But a lot of times it's not really that interesting anyway. So if you want to learn about what's going on in crypto, you could go to Reddit or just browse news, go to Bitcoin magazine, and there's a lot of Bitcoin news sources out there. So sometimes I do provide coaching, but I kind of wanted to make this more of a channel where you not just go to be lectured to, but something where you can go to follow my lifestyle to see what it's like to live as somebody who is a cryptocurrency investor, who has been involved in cryptocurrencies and other things, who is an entrepreneur in general, and kind of like follow the what I'm hoping is an interesting life of a millionaire business entrepreneur type. So that's why I talk a lot about my own life and what I'm involved in, and kind of other things like real estate and my projects like the airplane I'm building. And other stuff, and I kind of add up a little bit of Bitcoin, sometimes near the end, sometimes as main part of it, depending on how important it is. So with regards to Bitcoin, there is one thing I wanted to mention, that a lot of times people look at cryptocurrency and they think that the way to make money is through trading it. For whatever reason, we kind of got this idea into our heads that if you want to make money on a stock market or with any kind of investment, you have to trade it, meaning trading it back and forth and back and forth. There's day traders, it's probably media and movies kind of contributed to that, because you always see like Wolf of Wall Street or some of the other movies where the people who are making a lot of money are usually portrayed as the ones who are in Wall Street going buy, 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 sell, sell, sell. And we assume that that's how people make money on stocks and in the stock market, or maybe even crypto market. And unfortunately, what that means is that as a result, there's a lot of cryptocurrency traders and trading accounts and trading funds, and unfortunately a lot of trading scams where you can invest with somebody else. They'll claim they will trade this crypto on your behalf and pay you out some fixed amount that's usually ridiculously high. But the thing about trading, though, is that when you buy currency or stock or something else from somebody else and then sell it again, you're not actually doing anything at all to actually contribute to the value or the growth of that the thing you're buying and trading. So effectively, trading is kind of like let's say you have a friend and you have $1 and you give your friend $1 and he gives you back the dollar, and you give him $1 and you give him back $1, and you just trade it back and forth. Or a bag of sugar, or even a gold coin, or anything. All you're doing is just passing it back and forth. But all at the end, if it's just two of you, all you'll have is that exact same dollar, the exact same bag of sugar, exact same gold. So trading doesn't actually create any wealth per se. So because of that, the only way that you actually do earn some money on trading is speculation, where you can the value of whatever you're holding, like say it's a bag of sugar and it went from $1 to $1.50. As you've been trading it back and forth, the value of it goes up, and now it's worth $1.50. So between the trades, you manage to, if you end up holding it at the very end, it's now worth more than it did before. But you could have reached the exact same conclusion result if you would have just bought the bag of sugar and held on to it for a while. The main thing that trading does actually provide to the economy is that, let's say you don't have a friend to give that bag of sugar to, then you're stuck holding a bag of sugar. What traders do is they provide what's called liquidity. That's how many buyers and how many sellers are on the market that are ready to buy and sell from you. So if there was very little liquidity in the market, it would take you quite a while to find somebody to sell that bag of sugar to. Let's say sugar goes up to from $1 to $1.50, and now you're sitting around in this $1.50 bag of sugar, and there's nobody to sell it to. And unless you sell it, it's not really worth anything. It's not worth $1.50 other than on paper. It's not actual money that you can spend. If there is a lot of if there is a lot of not volatility, a lot of other traders on the market, the word just like popped out of my head. If there's a lot of liquidity on the market, there's a lot of people willing to buy and sell, then as soon as the bag of sugar goes from $1 to $1.50, you can just go and sell it to somebody else. And that liquidity, that's what traders would be doing. They are ready to buy it and sell it at a moment's notice. As soon as you're available to buy it or sell it from them. And the way they make money in that sense is they basically trade their time, where they would be happy to hold on to that bag of sugar for you until somebody else comes by and is willing to buy it from them. Or they're willing to sit and not buy that bag of sugar right away and just provide liquidity by sitting and waiting for the price, when the price is right, to buy it from somebody who's ready. So effectively they're trading their time for money. And another way that they could that they do make money is called arbitrage, which is, let's say you are buying, you're willing to sell this bag of sugar for $1.20. Somebody else someplace else is willing to buy that bag of sugar for $1.50, but you have no way of actually reaching that person, somebody else. Let's say that somebody else is in Japan. So what would happen is this trader would buy the sugar from you for $1.20, and then they would go and take it to Japan and sell it for $1.50. So that way they would make a little bit of money on this trade, because there's a difference between $1.50 and $1.20. That's arbitrage. And the benefit of this is that if prices in different locations or different places end up being too different, let's say here it's $1.20 in US and in Japan it's $1.50, these traders would arbitrage the price away by buying it here, selling it there. And by selling it there, they increase the supply there, thus driving down the price. And by buying here, they increase the demand, thus driving up the price until the prices all match up evenly everywhere else. So that's how traders make money. Unfortunately, as I was saying, you don't actually contribute a lot of, you don't create wealth while you're trading. You're more trading somebody's time. And trading usually requires a lot of information. There's a lot of competition. Obviously, as soon as there's an arbitrage opportunity, like I mentioned, between, let's say, here in Japan of $1.50 versus $1.20, you would probably have like hundreds of thousands of traders, and a lot of these are even automated computer traders that'll go and automatically buy back and forth until the entire opportunity is arbitraged away. So because of this, generally traders just do not perform anywhere near as good as the market. Now, professional traders is kind of fairly well established that professional traders in a stock market underperform the market index. In other words, or about 3/4 of them do. In other words, 3/4 of all the professional who actually do it full-time professionally with all the experience and education, 3/4 of all these professional stock market traders would have been better off if all they did was just buy the stock and hold it, and that's it. So if those professional guys with all their education experience and doing this full-time are failing 3 out of 4 times, somebody who has no experience obviously wouldn't do too well at all. So that's why I generally advise against doing trading. If somebody's doing trading, it's, I mean, people kind of like to brag a bit like, oh, I trade on the market or I trade in the crypto markets or something. It's like, yeah, that's nice, but then my next follow-up question is, how have you been doing? How's it going? Did you make a lot of profit? A lot of times people are like, well, or they might say, yeah, I did pretty well. But then ask how they did compared to just holding Bitcoin. They might say, well, I made like 50% or 100% return in the last year, which sounds great compared to stocks. But if they were to have just held Bitcoin by itself, they would have been about 150 to 200% up this year already. So another thing, I guess, because a commodity that you're trading might be going up quite a bit. It might seem like you're doing well when you're trading because you're actually making money in US dollar cents. But always compare what you're earning to the index fund, I guess. So for stocks, it would be the S&P 500. So you might be day trading, you might be making like 8% and you're thinking you're doing pretty good. The S&P 500 index average is about 10 to 12%, so you're actually would have been better to hold it. And same for Bitcoin. It's been growing at about, I guess, 150 to 200% a year, depending on which year it is. Sometimes it's been up to 500. But you might be making great returns, or so you think, like at 50%, but you would still be underperforming Bitcoin. And I consider holding Bitcoin as kind of the index fund for cryptocurrencies. So that's it for, I guess, the Bitcoin side of it. Point is, just don't trade. It's not, I mean, you can dabble around it. It's a good skill to kind of learn just to understand how markets themselves actually work. And Bitcoin actually makes this a great teaching tool because, unlike stocks, you can get a Bitcoin exchange account fairly easily without needing too much KYC and proof of ID. And then you can trade literally pennies worth of Bitcoin back and forth just to kind of see how the market works. But I would not recommend using trading as a way to actually make money. If you want to make money in Bitcoin, just buy and hold it. It's that simple. Maybe it turns people off because they think like, well, there's probably something else I have to do to actually make money, because just buying it and sitting on it just seems kind of too easy. But that's pretty much the easiest and the best way to make money. If you want to actually make a little more money, possibly, like if you want to invest in Bitcoin, as I suggested a couple of times before in these videos, the best thing you can do is actually contribute to Bitcoin's growth. That would be get other people involved in it as well, explain what it is, how it works, get them to invest, build businesses and services to actually make Bitcoin be usable as a currency in your area, or provide services that are still missing, create services that are still missing that businesses and users are looking for. So yeah, besides that, with regards to what's going on with I guess the rest of my life, we are moving to a different location. We actually went to check out a house, and turned out that there was another house across the street that we liked a lot more. I think I mentioned that. Yesterday was mostly catching up on administrative stuff, and also, planning our next year's trips at this point already. It's kind of crazy. I did want to travel a lot when I was growing up, when I was younger, when I was didn't have a lot of money and was wishing to could travel. And we used to plan 2 large trips a year. This time I'm actually already planning our next year's trips, and I looked through my calendar of there's an app called Google Trips, which if you have a Google Gmail account, it will actually pull all your reservations for hotels and flights directly into Google Trips and keep track of your trips for you. You can also add any kind of information that you need for that, and it's useful because if you have to travel a lot for business, sometimes it's hard to remember whether you bought plane tickets, whether you remember to reserve a room, where you're going to be going when, and it looks through your past trips too. So I looked through my past trips. Apparently I have had 17 different trips just since the beginning of this year, which is like crazy. I didn't even realize I was traveling around so much. Next year, the rest of the year I still have quite a few left. There's still the Alaska cruise, the Greek cruise, Venice. There's JT Fox's mega success that's going to be in Anaheim, California, near Disneyland. By the way, I would really recommend anybody who is able to take that week and go to JT Fox's mega success, because it's going to cost you very little, but you're going to spend time actually seeing in person quite a lot of very successful business people and celebrities and stars. Like last year we had Charlie Sheen. He sticks out because he was the funniest, the best guys there. Mel Gibson was there. Gene Simmons from Kiss, I believe, was there. There was Steve Wozniak, quite a lot of stars. I think like they had like 12 people. It's just hard to keep track of all of them. This year's lineup is pretty good too. I think they may even be having Julia Roberts and a whole bunch of others. So it's, for what you pay, you get to learn from the very top people in the world, and it's probably going to also be the very last time that they actually do this. So it's definitely a very good opportunity. But for next year, we already have a tour through Australia, and then I just reserved a 2.5 week tour of Japan, which is the two countries that actually my spouse and I have wished to go to, God, since even my previous, not the previous job, but the job before then. I think it was since like probably about a decade. We kept thinking like, okay, we're gonna go one winter actually, to Australia, because winter in US is summer in Australia. And then the following year we would go to Japan, and that was our plan for many years, about a decade, I believe. And for whatever reason, it just kept getting pushed off, because there were other places that we wanted to go that were going to be a little cheaper. Like we want to see Italy, Switzerland, England, a couple other places. But yeah, so finally, we're going to be going on the trip that we both wanted to do a long time ago, which would be first Australia, and then Japan was, because we don't want to spend 25 hours on a plane, was a stopover in Hawaii each way. So it should be fun. And yes, I'll be taking you with me on that as well. And with my airplane, there's a lot more progress going on too. Actually getting audio set up so you can hear the radios, you can talk to each other. That's the wiring, and that is pretty complicated because it all has to be shielded wire. And the plane is getting quite a lot more work done at the factory as well. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this September, when I go down to work on it again, I will actually get to a point where I'll be able to install the engine and electronics and do some finishing touches, and then start actually test flying or test driving it at first in October. So anyway, that's it for today, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.